Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
They're still coming in. One more time.
Maya Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you, thank you. Tonight, we will be praying from our Mishkan Tefillah. Prayer book can be found underneath your seats. It's the blue one, but if you pick up the blue one that says Torah, put it back. That's the wrong blue one. That'll be our prayer book this evening. Oh, good, and thank you to everyone sitting over here, because now I'm not just looking over here. You guys are filling it in. That's beautiful. Thank you. Friends, if you need to step out of the sanctuary for any reason, you can do so where you just came in. There's also an exit over there, one behind you and one behind me. As you settle in for Shabbat services, I do encourage you to take a second to take your phone out of your pocket or your purse and to make sure that it is on silent, that alarms have been turned off. I love those of you who reach into your watches too. Make sure those beeps are off as well, just so we can really be present in this space together. I'm Rabbi Rachel, and I'm up here this evening with our cantorial soloist, Jessica Tillum. I would love for you to please turn to somebody that you didn't drive here with this evening, wish them a Shabbat Shalom, and then we'll join back together with a little Maya Hayom.
Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Friends, we'll open our Shabbat service with candle lighting. And Susan, if you'll come on up, if everyone will rise and turn in your book to page 120. He's fine. He's fine. Yep. We welcome in the love and light and warmth from Shabbat, and Jessica leads us in our blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Perfect, thank you. So friends, if you would like to light your own Shabbat candles, I invite you to do so up here to my right and to my left, as we welcome in the Sabbath angels with with what's it called?
Shalom
Aleichem. There we go. With Shalom Aleichem, page 142. If you're not going to light Shabbat candles, feel free to just have a seat.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidchem L'Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Lai lai.
Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai.
Page 138, we have our prayer of Lecha Dodi, where we welcome in the Sabbath bride, welcoming in the most beloved image we can imagine. Lecha Dodi, page 138.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 Pnei Shabbat, lekabelai, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 Pnei Shabbat, lekabelai, Shamor v'zachor, Tibor echad, Yishmi'anu el ha'miuchad, Adonai echad, Shmo echad, Shemo tiferet v'litahila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 Pnei Shabbat, lekabelai, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 Pnei Shabbat, lekabelai, likrat Shabbat, l'chu v'nelcha, ki mekor ha'beracha, merosh mikidem nesucha, ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 Pnei Shabbat, lekabelai, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 Pnei Shabbat, lekabelai.
We rise and face the door.
Boi v'shalom, ateret bana, gam b'simcha u'tola, toch emunei, am tzegula, boi chala,
We face forward.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 Pnei Shabbat, lekabelai, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 Pnei Shabbat, lekabelai.
remain standing. Our call to worship, Baruch Hu, page 146.
Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. HaMevorach. HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
On the inside back cover of our prayer books, we have our Ma'ariv Aravim as we welcome on the evening, which has come on in just now looking like it did the whole rest of the day on this gray day. But nonetheless, we roll into dark, our back inside cover.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night.
Page 152. We center ourselves, feel our feet on the ground, standing tall and proud as we declare God's oneness, Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Turn to page 154 as we prepare for words of Ve'ahavta, which at this time of year, in the midst of Pesach, in the middle of Passover, I'm always thinking about the line, impress them upon your children, the instructions, the ways of being Jewish, the ways of being a good person. But especially at this time of year, I think about how the Passover story, we are commanded to teach it, the story of Passover, to children. This idea that this is one of our core sacred stories, and that the essence of Jewish identity and what it means to move from slavery to freedom, and what that means for us as folks trying to continue that for others, that this is that time where impress them upon your children it's really at the height, that this is the time when to teach others, whether it's a literal child or just the youngest person at the table, whoever that may be, that this is that time of year to really emphasize what it means to be who we are as a people. And so together, as a people, we chant together words of Ve'ahavta, page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 157, we pray together at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Mi Chamocha, our prayer of freedom and redemption, page 158.
Dance the whole night long. Mi chamocha ba'alim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, norat tehilot osei fele, norat tehilot osei fele.
Page 160, Hashkivenu, our prayer of sheltering peace at night. It's one where we ask for God to shield us beneath the shadow of God's wings. And at the very end, we say, "Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem." We think about the people of Israel tonight as another terror attack has plagued the Tel Aviv area, as tensions continue to be high in Jerusalem. We sing out this prayer for all of Israel, and we sing out this prayer for everyone who is in need of that shelter of peace tonight.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkiveinu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkiveinu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
And after this prayer of Hashkiveinu, a favorite melody of this place and most Reform synagogues in our Vishamru it's a peppy one. And so we often move straight from, most of the Hashkiveinu prayers are pretty like somber and heavy, and then all of a sudden we're supposed to be happy, clappy. But, in the arc of a service, it's a little stark sometimes, so I speak now to try to soften it. But in all honesty, it kind of speaks to the Jewish people. That all people, two things can be true. We can be praying for this shelter of peace, and we can be recognizing that tonight is Shabbat, and that tonight is a gift to the Jewish people every single time Friday comes around, and that we can be happy about that peace too. And so we joyously have this chance to sing Vishamru, page 162.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam, oti leolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam.
I forgot to put it in the outline, but I'm going to do my sermon now.
Great.
Friends, we can do hard things. It is the number one line used in the Miller household. I think it was originally made famous by the author, activist, wife of the soccer player Abby Wambach, Glennon Doyle, if anybody's read her. But more than likely, Max or I heard the phrase while passively listening to a podcast or while reading the latest parenting blog, and it just stuck. We can do hard things. The mantra is pretty relatable. The phrase, somewhat tangible. And just by being here today, it is a recognition that we can do hard things. When our daughter Zoe gets frustrated, struggling to do whatever ridiculous toddler task she has set out to do, before she tips over that emotional edge of no return, we often say to her, Zoe, you got this. You can do hard things. And the other day, I was playing with her on the floor, and she wanted me to get up to go do another activity. I was probably tired, and I definitely pretended like I was too tired to get up. I fake struggled, but didn't really budge. And she looked at me straight in the eyes, and she said, "Ema, you can do hard things. You got this." She did. So I overcame my tired struggle and moved on to help her with the next activity she wanted to do. Because how do you say no to that? We can do hard things. In the special reading for the Shabbat, we discuss what is perhaps one of the hardest and least tangible things on the list of hard things in life. And that hard thing is feeling like we can know God. Now, in the theme of tonight's mantra, I'd like to argue that each of us can do hard things and that we can even come to know God. And in the verses we read this Shabbat, we follow the relationship between Moses and God and what it means for Moses to know God. While Moses and God have been chatting for quite some time now, we're in the middle, the special reading comes from the middle of Exodus, towards the end. Moses seems to want to elevate their relationship by asking God to let God be seen by Moses. And Moses asks very directly, speaking to God, Moses says, "Let me behold your presence." To which God replies, "I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim before you the name Adonai, in the grace that I grant and the compassion that I show, but you cannot see my face, for a human being may not see me and live." And so if God making God's goodness pass before Moses becomes the closest that Moses can get to seeing God, then I'd argue that every time we recognize the goodness that passes before us, this recognition takes us ever closer to what it means to know God. Such logic leads to the conclusion that knowing God is in the ability to recognize the goodness we encounter in the world. We can do hard things, even when life is really hard. And life can be really hard when we are in the depths of despair and mourning, the loss of a loved one, and trying to feel connected to others or to God. Life can be really hard when we are conflicted over what to do to help a teen or young adult with whom we have a close connection, and yet that person is having a hard time navigating life. Life can be really hard when we recognize our flaws or the mistakes that we have been making and head down the road of trying to improve who we are in this world. In those moments of struggle, when we say that we will turn to God for help, it's not that we are turning to God to solve our problems. Rather, we are reaching out to find the goodness in our friends and neighbors, because they're the ones who will hold our hand through the turmoil. To find that goodness is to find the godliness in others. And finding that goodness, that godliness, is to know God. Perhaps the hardest task of all. And yet, each of us can do hard things. When Moses spoke with God about being able to see God, Moses had just finished the whole debacle with the Israelites over the golden calf, and was then supposed to continue leading a people after such a major moment in their collective experience. Talk about doing hard things. And despite God's and Moses' previous anger, they discussed what it meant to move forward. And it was during that conversation that Moses asked to see God's presence. And as I said, God then responded with words about Moses seeing God's presence pass before him, and that then Moses would be able to see God in the grace and compassion that God showed. And so if we can find the grace and compassion within ourselves and others when life is at its toughest, then we can begin to know God, just as Moses came to know God through God's grace, compassion, and goodness. Now, knowing God is no easy task, but like Zohara teaches us, we can all do hard things. Shabbat Shalom, and happy Passover. Friends, our service continues on page 164. Now that we have passed the end of the first day of Passover, that means that when we get to our Givrot, it is time to switch to, despite today's weather and tomorrow's, the summer. So when we get to Givrot, it'll be Morid Hatal tonight. But for now, we rise and turn to page 164.
Adonai, Sifatai Tiftachu Fi Agita Hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gumel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Hasdei Avot V'imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atarav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Becheset, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Geburot, Umidro Melach, Melech Memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata lechayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yahalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
We continue in silent prayer with the words of our liturgy or the prayers of our heart. If you are following along with the words of our liturgy, please note, because we are in the midst of Passover, on page 174 in the middle of the page, there is a special insertion for Passover. And when you finish those silent prayers, I invite you to please be seated.
Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. B'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
It's my pleasure to invite forward, Ben Halpern, a member of our Board of Trustees, to share with us a few announcements. Just back from Israel.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Chag Sameach, everyone. Yeah, just got back from the Holy Land, and obviously our hearts are with Israel tonight. It truly was a very remarkable time. Thank you. Life impacting. I got to enjoy it with my fiance Carlin, who's here tonight, her first time in Israel, and honeymoon in Israel really changed our lives. So we're very appreciative, as we are with being with all of you tonight. So my name is Ben Halpern. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. Very appreciative of the opportunity, and the main thing, we got a lot of great stuff going on. What I really want to put in the back of your heads and really the forefront of your minds is the spring gala. And what I'll tell you is this is by far the most unbelievable fundraising event with just all great stuff going on. It really should be a wonderful evening. Not this upcoming Saturday. It's actually going to be two weeks out, so that is going to be April 22nd. It's actually called A Night in Tel Aviv. So really would love to see all of you lovely ladies and gentlemen there. It's going to be an amazing time. I look forward to attending with my family as well, and it's going to be a lovely time. So looking forward to that. The temple has many volunteer opportunities: Community Assistance Center, Backpack Buddies, which I know they're doing wonderful work, so thank you for all that great work. And providing lunches for the Mary Hall Freedom House. Just to name a few, there's a lot. And I could go on. I was limited to 90 seconds, so I'm gonna try and respect that, Rabbi.
Getting up there.
Yeah, right. Well, let me read my script here. So in addition to being a real asset for the temple, you can also find a cause that you believe in while meeting others in the community. Pamphlets are provided to you in the lobby, so please feel free to check in with that, as well as Marina, who is a valuable resource for us all. And if you are new to the congregation, please, if you're not too shy, I promise you I don't bite. Please introduce yourself to me after, while we enjoy some great snacks and desserts afterwards, as well as with the clergy and rest of the congregation as well. So that's all I have to say. I just want to thank you all. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. Happy Passover.
Shabbat Shalom. Thanks, Ben. Well, thank you. So now we have the chance to do some of my favorite activities here this evening, which is to share the good things going on in our lives. So if anybody has something nice going on that they would like to share, now would be the time. So for example, I'm Rabbi Rachel, and Max and I found out that we will be needing a mohel in mid-October. I know, it takes a second for that to click, but you got there, good. So if anybody else has something that they would like to share this evening, I would love to hand you the microphone. Well, this would be a first, come on. Thank you. Whew.
I'm Ariane Belzer-Carroll, and I'm going to brag on my kid who got into his top choice of college.
Yay! Do we get to know where?
Oh, Connecticut College, and so he's moving as far from us as humanly possible.
Beautiful, thank you. Mazel tov. I feel like someone over here twitched. Yes, okay.
We just had a brand new.
Who are you?
We just had a brand new baby boy.
This is Cora.
Michael Garrett Fruman, and we're very pleased. He's 8 weeks old, and we're.
Mazel tov.
Oh, my name is Cora Fruman.
Thank you, Cora. Do you want the microphone again, Ben?
Thank you. I just wanted to say also, what was great about the honeymoon Israel trip was, in addition to our 10 days, which then we extended to stay with our really close friends through the Ort Lipson program. He was my 8th grade exchange student. Been close with his family. They've been close with ours ever since. We've really laid down nice roots, between Temple Emanu-El, Next Door program, and now the Honeymoon Israel group. Since we got back, we actually just met back up last night for the second night Passover Seder with 24 wonderful individuals. And what it really showed to us was, this wasn't just a great trip to Israel. It really was the start of wonderful lifelong relationships and friendships.
Perfect, thanks, Ben. If people are wondering what Honeymoon Israel is, and you have somebody between ages 25 and 40 in your family who is in a committed relationship or engaged or married, and you have questions, come find me after services. All right, I know I ran up here, which means I'm turning it off. Okay. Do you have anything this week?
It was so lovely having my son's first Passover and getting to see him do it all for the first time. And he learned how to dance right in time to do Dayenu, and he was grooving at the table. It was very fun.
Wonderful. And just in case my mom's watching, hi, Mom. She's in town, and so that's always lovely, too. So I'm thankful for that. For all of these things that we thank God for reaching this moment in time, page 648, Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. Amen.
As I spoke about tonight, part of finding and knowing God is in the goodness that passes before us, as well as the godliness that we find in others when they extend those hands. Sometimes those hands are to lift us up when we are in need of healing, whether it's a metaphoric hand of prayer or a literal one to hold us as we struggle. And so this Shabbat in particular, as we prepare for Misha Berach, we're especially praying for the healing of Josh Blank, Rob Gilbert, Ron Negan, Brenda Grazier, Chaim Ben Sara, Meir Ben Rachmiel Vadina, Alvin Levy, Kashka Muskogee, Harvey Apple, Jane Perlman, Mickey Rosner, Ken Schiffer, Karnina Michal Bat Yitzchak Vitova, Jennifer Herman, Neil Schwartz, and Rosa Zaretsky. If there's somebody that you are praying for the healing of, I invite you to share that name aloud as my eyes meet yours. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We turn to page 371. We rise, and if your neighbor's okay with it, we invite you to wrap an arm around one another as we pray together.
Before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mikor habracha.
Remain standing. If you are under the age of bar bat mitzvah, Maya, I think you're the only one tonight. I'll invite you to come on up. Ben, if you could help me by just distributing these. For real, Maya, come on. You get the big Kiddush cup. I know, I think it's only you tonight. All the way. We're on page 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila lamikra'e kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Ki banu bacharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-shabbat.
Shabbat shalom. Take a little sip. It's just juice, I promise. So, friends, we'll remain standing for just a moment. Maya, you ran away so fast. I'm going to need you to help me open the Ark in a minute. I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to come back for Ark opening in a second, you can. Because we are between the holiday of Passover and Shavuot, that means we are in the time of counting the Omer. So if you would, please turn to page 570. It takes just a moment every night. It is a lovely little ritual to incorporate into each night because we are counting up the days, increasing in number and joy, if you will, from Passover to Shavuot, from slavery in Egypt to receiving Torah at Mount Sinai. So we'll do it all in the English here. I'm in the middle of page 570, starting with I, if you'll join with me. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. So tonight starts the second day. So today is the second day, which is 0 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. Perfect. All right, friends, Aleinu L'Shabeach can be found on page 586. Oh, thank you.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, Lateit Gdula Liotzer Breshit, Shelo Asanu Kiloye Haratzot, Velo Samanu Mishpachot Adama, Shelo Samchel Kenu Kahem, Vigoralinu Kechol Hamonam, Banachnu Korim, Umishtachavim Umodim, Lifnei Melech, Malkei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'nemar, V'haya Adonai, Lamelech al kol haaretz, Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad.
Please be seated. I'm on the bottom of page 593. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows, it is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance, and our life burns down in gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen, yet we do not despair. For we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and light, of life and light. On this Shabbat, we offer condolences to the families who are in a period of Shiva for Jerry Bialis and for Rick Shapiro. And those in Shloshim for Richard Coates and Mel Druckman and Suzanne Eichhorn. And those observing yardzites for Abraham Aaron, Michael Alpern, Charles Bach, Thomas Bohr, Joel Cohen, Jean Kulik, Susan Ellen Fox, Rita Franco, Doris Freund, Celia Friedlander, Siegfried Froman, Helen Goldberg, Elaine Goldman, Sheldon Grazier, Lawrence Greenberger, David Keslensky, Maurice Klein, Dolores L. Kleinberg, Barry Klompus, Shirley Kurzman, Diana Kuttner, Paul Leff, Libby Levine, Abraham Mencher, Janet Nadell, Mitchell Needle, Harriet B. Newport, Hannah Olander, Jack Parker, Richard Propp, Lila Renbaum, Ellen Rosenthal, Irving Rothberg, Maura Schulwolf, Norman Siegel, Leonard Shapiro, Marilyn Shattaw, Irving Spilker, Rachel Gillespie Thomas, Gertrude Aretsky, Lenny Wallach, Samuel M. Weiner, David Joel Weinstock, Paul Wolf, Bess Zalen, and Jaime Zelizer. If there is a name for which I inadvertently skipped or mispronounced, I invite you to please share that name aloud. Thank you. If you are in a period of Shiva, the first 7 days mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise so we may recognize you. If you are in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to rise so we may recognize you. If you are in the first year, Yud Bet, mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to rise so we may recognize you. If on the Shabbat you are commemorating a yartzeit, a death anniversary of a loved one, I invite you to rise. And if it is your custom to rise for Mourner's Kaddish, as it is here at Temple Emanu-El, I invite you to do so now. We join together in words of Kadisha Tome, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh. B'chayachon uvyomechon uvchaye d'chol Beit Yisrael. Ba'gala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'amei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam. V'itadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei d'kudasha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'romav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
And we don't say wala chala, we say wala matzah. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom, and happy Passover. Shabbat shalom, everyone.